I pulled the trigger on my own father in front of God, country, and every brass hat in the Pentagon's East Wing. But it wasn't the bullet that killed him. It was the truth I'd buried deeper than his lies. 300 guests froze as the echo died, champagne flutes shattering like the facade of the American dream we'd all pretended to live. And in that split-second silence, before the screams started, I whispered, "Welcome home, Dad. Hope the view from hell beats Fallujah." The banquet hall in the Marriott Wardman Park glittered like a fevered dream of red, white, and blue, stars and stripes draped from the chandeliers, eagles etched into the silverware. The kind of over-the-top patriotism that makes you wonder if Uncle Sam ever gets tired of the show. It was June 2025, D.C. In full summer swelter. But inside, the AC hummed cold enough to preserve bodies for autopsy. I'd flown in from Norfolk that morning, my dress blues starched to the point of armor, medals heavy on my chest like accusations I couldn't shake. 20 years in the Navy, SEAL Team 6 rotations, black ops in the sandbox that left me with nightmares that tasted like sand and cordite, and here I was, back for my father's retirement gala. Rear Admiral Eli Harlan, the man who'd built his career on the backs of men like me, men he'd sent into the fire and forgotten before the smoke cleared. I spotted him across the room, holding court near the podium, his barrel chest puffed under a uniform that fit like it was tailored yesterday, not 30 years ago. Salt and pepper hair slicked back, that trademark grin splitting his face, charming as a used car salesman, lethal as a drone strike. Guests orbited him, senators with spray tans, contractors in $1,000 suits, a smattering of active-duty types like me, all nursing whiskeys and swapping war stories that never quite mentioned the body counts. My sister, Lena, hovered at his elbow, her laugh a little too bright, her hand on his arm like she was propping up a monument. She caught my eye and waved me over, but I hung back, nursing a club soda at the bar. Water under the bridge, they say. Bullshit. Some bridges you burn twice. The MC, a slick NPR type with a voice like warm bourbon, took the mic and called the room to order. Toasts first, to Eli's unwavering service, his strategic brilliance in the war on terror. How he'd shaped the future of naval intelligence. I tuned it out, staring at the ice melting in my glass, until the Admiral himself lumbered up, clapping the MC on the back like he'd just closed a deal on a yacht. "Folks," he boomed, that Virginia drawl thick as molasses. "I couldn't have done any of this without my family. My beautiful wife, God rest her soul, gone too soon, but watching from above. My daughter Lena, who's got more spine than half the Joint Chiefs. And then there's my boy, Jack." The spotlight swung my way like a search beam in a raid gone south. Heads turned. Polite applause rippled. I straightened, forcing a nod, but my gut twisted. "Here it comes." "Jack here," Dad continued, his eyes locking on mine with that paternal gleam that always felt like a scope sight. Decided the Navy wasn't quite his speed. Thought he'd play hero in the enlisted ranks, SEALs. No less. Diving into God knows where. Chasing shadows while the real work got done up here in the war room. Laughter bubbled up. Uneasy at first, then rolling like thunder. "I mean, come on, son, 300 guests, and you're still humping a ruck like it's Nam? We got drones for that now." The room exploded. Backslaps. Hoots. A senator wiping tears. My face burned hotter than a hello crash in the desert. 20 years. 2 Purple Hearts. A Bronze Star with V for Valor. Classified ops that'd make your hair curl. And he turns it into a punchline? For what? To burnish his own legend. Lena's smile faltered, her eyes pleading across the crowd. But I couldn't look away from him. He was milking it, gesturing at me like I was the family mutt who'd fetched the wrong stick. But hey, Jack's tough, survived more sandstorms than I have boardrooms. Give it up for the grunt. Applause again. But it died quick when the double doors at the back swung open. A murmur rippled, heads craning. In strode Vice Admiral Marcus Hale, CO of Naval Special Warfare Command, his presence sucking the air from the room like a vacuum seal. Tall as a mast, face carved from granite, uniform so sharp it could cut glass. He didn't smile, didn't wave, just beeline for the podium, his boots echoing like Judgment Day. Dad's grin flickered, confusion knitting his brows.
Admiral Hale?
Sir, this is... Hale snatched the mic without a word, his voice a low growl that amplified to fill every corner. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may. Silence crashed down, heavy as a depth charge. He paused, eyes sweeping the room, landing on me for a beat that felt eternal. Commander Harlan's jokes are, as always, colorful. But tonight, we're here to honor service, not mock it. Dad shifted, mouth opening, but Hale steamrolled on. Jack Harlan isn't just a SEAL. He's the man who pulled my boy out of a Taliban ambush in Helmand, 2018. Dragged him 3 clicks under fire, patched his femoral with his own belt. That grunt saved lives that night, lives that let me sleep without the ghost of a son haunting me. Gasps rippled, eyes darting between us. Dad's face drained to chalk, his hand twitching like he wanted the mic back but knew better. Hale turned to him, unblinking. Eli, you built empires on reports you never filed right. But Jack, he built them with blood.
And tonight,
before we toast you, we toast him. He raised his glass, the room following like dominoes. To Jack Harlan, the real admiral in this family. The cheers were thunderous. But I stood frozen, the club soda slipping from my fingers to shatter at my feet. Dad's eyes met mine across the divide, shock. Then something darker, a flicker of the old rage. Welcome to the reckoning, old man. I'd waited 20 years for this night. And it was just the opening salvo. As the applause faded, Hale clapped me on the shoulder, hard enough to jolt bone, and muttered low, "Your call now, Commander." Make it count. He handed back the mic like a live grenade, then melted into the crowd. Dad approached slow, his face a mask cracking at the edges, extending a hand that I didn't take. Jack.
Son, that was
enthusiastic. Hale's always had a flair. His voice dripped oil. But underneath, the venom simmered. Lena hovered, whispering apologies, but I waved her off. Save it, I said, loud enough for the nearest cluster to hear. We've got history to unpack. The band struck up anchors away, cueing the dance floor. But the air hung thick with unspoken shrapnel. I grabbed a fresh drink, real this time, bourbon neat, and found a corner table, watching Dad work the room like nothing happened. Schmoozing senators, laughing off the interruption as Hale's sense of humor. But I saw the tells, the vein throbbing in his temple, the way his glass trembled mid-sip. Good. Let it fester. Lena slid into the seat across from me, her gown shimmering like fool's gold. Jack, please. It's his night. Can't you just? His night. I cut her off. Voice low but edged like a K-bar. 20 years ago, he signed my deployment orders knowing the intel was bogus. Watched my team walk into an IED farm because his strategic brilliance meant fudging reports to brass. 3 guys gone. Lena. 3. And I took the heat, lied to the board of inquiry because he begged me, said it'd end his career. Her eyes widened, but I wasn't done. You think this is about a joke? It's about the grave he dug and shoved me into. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back. He loves you.
Jack.
In his way. His way gets people killed. I drained the bourbon. The burns steadying me.
And tonight?
That's the last lie he tells. The evening dragged on, speeches blurring into toasts. Plates of rubber chicken cleared away. I moved through the crowd like a ghost, collecting nods and semper fi-s from old contacts. But my mind was a tactical map, plotting vectors. Dad avoided me, but I caught him glancing, calculating. At midnight, as the cake cutting loomed, a 5-tier monstrosity iced with the Admiral stars, Hale pulled me aside near the service exit. Your old man's file crossed my desk last week. Anomalies?
Jack.
From 03 to 09. Care to corroborate? I met his gaze. The weight of classified folders unspoken between us. More than anomalies.
Sir.
Treason adjacent. He sold positions to contractors who flipped to insurgents. My team's positions. Hale's jaw tightened, a rare crack in the stone. Why now? Because burying it killed the last piece of me that gave a damn. I straightened. And because it's time the guests saw the real show. He nodded once.
Sharp.
Mix yours at the cake. Don't miss. As I returned to the fray, Dad cornered me by the dessert table, his breath sour with scotch. What the hell was that with Hale? You feeding him bullshit to steal my thunder? I smiled. Slow and cold. Thunder? This is lightning.
Dad.
And it's striking home. His fist clenched, knuckles white. But the crowd pressed in, flashbulbs popping for the cake. He leaned close. Whisper hiss. You touch this night.
Boy.
And I'll bury you deeper than those sand rats. Try it, I murmured. I've got the shovel. The knife sliced into the cake, symbolic, ceremonial, and the room held its breath for the final toast. Dad raised his glass, voice booming. To the Navy. I stepped forward, mic in hand before he could finish. And to the lies that sink ships.
Gasps.
Dad's face twisted. And then I began. The room tilted into hush. 300 faces, a mosaic of confusion and curiosity. Champagne bubbles, the only sound rising like smoke signals. I gripped the mic stand like it was a rifle sling, my voice steady from years of briefing ops teams in the dead of night. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, friends of my father, Rear Admiral Elias Harlan has served this country with distinction. Decorations don't lie. Neither do the dead. Dad's fork clattered against his plate, eyes boring into me like laser designators. Lena half rose from her chair, mouth forming my name, but I pressed on. The words I'd rehearsed in mirrors from Coronado to Kabul spilling out clean and lethal. In 2003, during the surge in Anbar, Admiral Harlan's intel cell greenlit Operation Desert Viper. My platoon inserted at 0200, expecting a HVT in a safe house. What we found was a kill zone RPG nest, Daesh mortars zeroed on our LZ. 8 men down before dawn. I crawled out with shrapnel in my thigh, carrying Petty Officer Ramirez's tag because there wasn't enough left of him to bury. Murmurs swelled, a senator shifting uncomfortably, a contractor's wife clutching her pearls. Hale stood sentinel near the exit, arms crossed, his nod imperceptible but ironclad. Dad surged toward the podium. But two MPs, Hale's shadows, materialized, hands light on his elbows.
Easy.
Sir, one murmured. Let the commander speak. You traitorous little shit, Dad hissed under his breath. Close enough for me to smell the betrayal on him. But I ignored it, channeling the rage I'd banked for decades. The Board of Inquiry? Admiral Harlan testified it was faulty SIGINT from Langley. I backed him, per his request. Said I'd misread the SAT feeds. Took a reprimand on my jacket. Lost a promotion slot.
Why?
Because exposing the truth would have torched his star cluster. Turns out, those faulty feeds came from his own back channel to a KBR exec who was laundering kickbacks through Baghdad black markets. Positions sold for profit. Gentlemen. My team's lives auctioned off like surplus gear. The room fractured, gasps turning to whispers, phones slipping out for discreet recordings. A general in the front row leaned forward, face thunderous. Harlan, is this substantiated? Dad wrenched free of the MPs, face purple as a tourniquet. Lies. Jack's bitter, PTSD hallucinations. Drinking on duty. Ask his COs. I laughed. Short and bitter, the sound echoing off the vaulted ceiling. Ask yours,
Dad.
Or better yet, ask the widow of LT. Commander Ellis. The one you hung out to dry in 2009. Framing him for the leak that got my squad ambushed in Helmand. He ate his sidearm in a Quantico motel because your memos painted him as the fall guy. I have the emails, the wire transfers, declassified last month by order of SecNav. Courtesy of Admiral Hale. Hale inclined his head, the gesture rippling acknowledgement. Dad staggered back, clutching the table edge, his empire crumbling in real time. Lena was crying now, silent tears carving tracks through her makeup, but she didn't move. Part of her had always known, the late-night arguments, the locked study with its shredder hum. Jack. Stop, she whispered, but it was lost in the swell. I wasn't done. This isn't just about me. It's about every sailor who saluted you, thinking you had their six. You flipped alliances like poker chips, contractors to brass, intel to the highest bidder. Built your legacy on our coffins.
And tonight? Tonight.
You mocked it all. My service, my scars. In front of the very people who could have court-martialed you years ago. I turned to the crowd, voice rising. So raise your glasses not to the Admiral, but to the ghosts he left behind. To Ramirez, Ellis, and the 27 others whose tags I still carry. Semper Fi, more like Semper Li. The toast went up ragged, some glasses trembling, others lowered in defiance. Flashbolts popped like incoming fire. Reporters in the back I'd spotted earlier scribbling furiously. Dad lunged again, this time swinging wild, a meaty fist aimed at my jaw, but Hale intercepted, twisting his arm in a lock that dropped him to one knee. Enough, Eli. NCIS is en route. You bastard, Dad spat at me, snot bubbling from his nose. I made you. Gave you the uniform. The chance. You gave me nightmares. I shot back, stepping close enough to see the fear crack his eyes. And now, you get the inquiry. The hearings. The cell with a view of Leavenworth. Security swarmed then, hustling him toward a side door, his protests devolving to curses that echoed down the hall. The band leader, sensing the mood, killed the music, leaving only the AC's drone and the shuffle of feet. Lena approached, eyes red-rimmed, clutching a napkin like a lifeline. Is it true? All of it. Every word. I handed her the mic, suddenly heavy. You choose your side now, sis. Blood or truth? She hesitated, glancing at the door where Dad had vanished. Then back to me. Truth, she whispered, voice breaking. But God. Jack, what have you done? Justice, I said, but it tasted like ash. Hale clapped my shoulder again, murmuring, debrief in my office. 0800. Bring the files. Then he was gone, leaving me in the wreckage. The gala dissolved into chaos, guests milling, whispers turning to debates, a few brass hats pulling aides aside for hushed calls. I slipped out a service entrance, the DC. Night air thick with humidity and distant sirens. My rental car waited in the lot, a nondescript Taurus that blended like my ops. I sat behind the wheel, hands shaking for the first time that night, the bourbon's warmth fading to ice in my veins. Revenge. I'd planned it meticulous. The leaks to Hale 6 months back. Anonymous drops that built the case without fingering me. The gala invite I'd accepted knowing it'd be the stage. But seeing Dad's world implode, that mask of invincibility shattering, it hit like a gut shot. Was I the hero, or just another Harlan? Trading lives for scores? My phone buzzed. Lena. He's denying everything. NCIS at the house. Come home? I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. Then typed, not yet. Loose ends first. I fired up the engine, headlights cutting the dark like tracers. First stop, Dad's study in Arlington. The one with the safe I'd cracked as a teen. Time to unearth the rest. The ledgers. The photos. The proof that'd seal his fate. But as I merged onto 395, a black SUV fell in behind. Too smooth. Too persistent. Tail? Or paranoia? The drive blurred. Adrenaline sharpening every shadow. By the time I hit the key bridge, sweat beaded despite the AC. Dad's betrayal ran deeper than ops. Personal. Festering. Mom's accident in 09. The car wreck ruled mechanical failure. But I'd found the brake line cuts in the garage. Dismissed it as grief. What if he'd silenced her too? Questions she'd asked about the money. The late calls. The SUV peeled off at the Rosslyn exit. Coincidence? I couldn't risk it. Pulled into a strip mall lot. Waited 5 mics. Clear. Then Arlington. The family McMansion glowing like a false beacon. Side gate. Key under the mat, Lena's habit. Inside. The house reeked of Dad's cologne and stale cigar. Silence broken only by the tick of the grandfather clock. His study. Oak desk. Walls lined with commendations that now looked like forgeries. The safe. Hidden behind a faded photo of us fishing, ironic. Combination. My birth date. The bastard's idea of sentiment. Clicked open, revealing stacks of greenbacks, USB drives, a ledger bound in leather. Flipping pages under desk light. Dates. Names. Dollar signs. Viper, $250K. Hellman, $1.2 mil. And there, underlined YH. To JH. Trust, Silence fee. $500,000. My blood ran cold. The inheritance he'd dangled post-inquiry.
The reason I lied.
Bribe money. Laundered through Mom's life insurance. I pocketed a drive. Snapped photos of the ledger. Then froze at a manila envelope. For Jack, when ready. Inside. A letter in Mom's script. Dated days before the crash. My love, if you're reading this, Eli's won. But know the truth, the Viper op was an error. He traded it for promotion. I confronted him. Forgive me for staying silent too long. Protect Lena. Burn this. Tears blurred the ink. She'd known. Carried it alone until it killed her. I crushed the paper. Rage coiling like a spring. Footsteps upstairs, Lena? Or NCIS early. I slipped out the French doors. Melting into the backyard shadows. Heart pounding. The game wasn't over. Dad would fight dirty. Flip scripts. Drag me down with him.
But now?
I had the hammer. And I wouldn't hesitate to swing. Dawn crept over the Potomac as I ditched the Taurus in a long-term lot at Reagan. Grabbed a cab to Union Station. Locker 47. Go bag prepped months ago. Burner phone.
Cash.
Falsies. Called hail from the Amtrak platform. Train to Norfolk boarding. Sir. Escalation. Mom's wreck. Murder.
Pause.
Then, Christ.
Get to base.
Will extract. The train lurched south. Cities blurring past. But in the reflection, I saw Dad's eyes staring back, my eyes. Blood calls to blood. And the revenge? It was just warming up. Norfolk hit like a salt lick, brine in the air, gulls screeching over the shipyards. The hum of carriers in dry dock like a heartbeat on life support. I checked into a Fleabag motel off Granby Street, the kind with vibrating beds and roaches that paid rent, using the alias from my last black op. Burner buzzed. Hail. Situation fluid. Harlan lawyered up. Top-tier DC firm. Claims you're unstable. Fabricating for grudges.
Stay dark. Dark.
That's all I'd been for years. I paced the threadbare carpet. Ledger photos uploaded to a ghost server. Mom's letter scanned and encrypted. Sleep came in fits. Dreams of on-bar sand turning to Mom's blood on asphalt. Dad's laughter echoing like mortars. Woke at 0600 sweating. Grabbed chow from a Waffle House, greasy hash and coffee black as intent. By 0800, I was at the NSWC gate. Creds flashing under a ball cap, pulled low. Hale's office overlooked the Severn. Models of Virginia-class subs on shelves like trophies. He didn't preamble. Files check out Viper. Hellmand. The lot. SecNav's greenlit a full probe. But Eli's spinning it. Says you accessed classified under false pretenses. Maybe even fabricated docs. Got a psych eval from '09 flagged. Your episode after Ellis. The inquiry bullshit. I'd cracked then. Punched a bulkhead till my knuckles split. Ranting to the shrink about ghosts. Dad had buried it. Pulled strings. He's flipping the script, I said. Sinking into the chair. Always did. Remember the 05 Gulf run? Here he routed my team to cover his ass on a botched drone strike, civilians vaporized. Blamed it on me in the after-action. Hale steepled his fingers. Eyes like chipped flint. We do. That's why your point on this. But it's messy.
Jack.
Media circling, CNN ran Navy Scion's revenge this morning. Your sister's in the mix, she lawyered him too.
Lena.
The knife twist. She chews yet. Family first, she says. But she's leaking doubts, anonymous tips to the post about inconsistencies in his stories. Hale slid a folder across. Your move. Testify at the prelim hearing next week? Or go deeper, undercover? Shake his tree.
Deeper. The word sang.
Undercover. His contractors, the KBR ghosts. They're still active. Rebranded as Apex Global. I can infiltrate. Get the current ledgers. Risky as hell, treason charges if it blew. But Hale nodded. Green light. Assets at your disposal. Watch your six. Eli's got reach. I left with a sat phone, encrypted tablet, and a Beretta 9mm tucked in my waistband, Navy issue. Untraceable. Back at the motel, I geared up, wire-rimmed glasses, salt-streaked beard from a kit, resume forged as a logistics vet looking for private sector gigs. Apex's site screamed opportunity, secure the future, join the elite in global assurance. Translation: Mercs for hire. No questions on provenance. Application in by noon. Callback at 1400. Interview downtown. In a glass tower that screamed money laundered clean. The suit who met me, Vince Russo. Ex-Delta with a shark smile, eyed my CV like a menu. Harlan.
Huh?
Navy Inc.?
We like that.
But word is, you're the son of the Admiral making waves in the press.
Faint.
I leaned back. Casual. Waves, more like shitstorm. Man's a legend till he's not. I'm here for the paycheck, not the family drama. He chuckled, low and probing.
Fair.
We got slots in the Middle East pipeline securing assets. Your seal chops fit. But loyalty's key. Ever cross brass. Only when they lie. Truth serum.
Slipped easy.
His eyes lit, hook set. Start Monday. Polly tomorrow.
Polly.
Cakewalk for a man who'd lied to war crimes boards. That night, I hit a dive bar on the waterfront, nursing IPAs and eavesdropping on dockworkers griping about Apex ghost ships hauling unmanifested cargo. Whispers of side deals. Off-books runs to Yemen. By last call, I'd palmed a business card from a loose-lipped foreman, T. Jenkins. Apex liaison. Burner text. Heard you run the shadows. Ex-SEAL. Clean slate. Meet. Reply at 0200. Coffee. 0700. Warehouse 14. Dawn broke humid. The Elizabeth River slapping pilings like accusations. Warehouse 14 squatted on the industrial fringe. Chain link topped with razor. Guards in tack vests eyeballing me from a booth. Jenkins waited inside. Burly. Tattooed sleeves peeking from a polo. Face like weathered teak. Harlan. Russo vouched. What's your play? Straight cash. No brass. No bullshit. Heard Apex pays for discretion. He sized me up, then nodded to a crate stamped UNDFD. Sample run. Yemen drop. 2 weeks. You in.
In.
Handshake sealed it, rough. Promising bruises. Back at base. Debrief with Hale. Jenkins is Dad's old cutout. If I flip him, we get the network. Careful. Eli's raging called in favors. Got your jag on alert for desertion if you ghost official channels. Let him rage. I was already ghost. The next day's blurred. Polygraph dodged with biofeedback tricks from SEER school. Apex onboarding in a bland conference room. NDAs thicker than MREs. Psych profiles that screamed plausible deniability. Assigned to Logistics Team Bravo. Code for smuggling ring. First stop. Container seal on a Maersk bird. Manifests fudged for humanitarian aid that smelled like Semtex. Jenkins pulled me aside post-load. Your pops, he set this up back in the day. Good man. Tough calls. Tough. Or treason. I probed. Casual. He stiffened, eyes narrowing. Watch the mouth.
Harlan.
Some calls save more than they cost. Like Viper? I let it slide, but filed it. That night. Motel raid in my dreams. Dad's voiceover comms. Abort.
Son.
Brass says pull out. But we hadn't. And bodies piled. Week 2. The Yemen bird sailed. Me billeted in a shakedown cabin. Jenkins riding shotgun. Storm hit off Cape Hatteras. Waves like mountains. Ship groaning like a wounded beast. Over lukewarm chow. He cracked. Your old man saved my ass in '07.
Took heat for a bad drop.
Oh, him. Heat he caused. Push gentle. Jenkins swigged coffee. Stared at the bulkhead. Maybe. War's gray. But he paid. Lost a star. They say.
Lies.
Dad had gained 2 after. Gray gets men killed. He turned.
Slow.
You digging, Harlan? 'Cause Apex don't like holes. Just filling one. I met his gaze.
Steady.
For Ramirez. Blank stare.
Who?
Doesn't matter. But it did. By Gibraltar. I'd palmed his thumb drive, cloned in the head. Petty larceny from SEAL lockpicking. Files, manifests, wire trails back to Dad's shell core. Jackpot. Port call in Djibouti, dust devils, and bored jarheads. I slipped a dead drop to a CIA stringer Hale had looped in, drive copied. Originals planted back. Then the twist. Burner chirp. Unknown number. Nice play, son. But Jenkins reports to me. Yacht. Monaco. 48 hours. Let's talk family.
Dad.
Out on bail. Pulling strings from a Gulf Stream. Monaco? Ballsy. I texted Hale. Hook.
Line. Sinker mine.
The bird turned east. Salt spray stinging. Revenge wasn't a shot, it was a siege. And I was breaching walls. But in the rack that night, Dow crept, Lena's text unread, Dad's breaking. Come back. Was I saving her? Or damning us all? The sea rolled on. Indifferent. Like Dad always had. Monaco glittered like a counterfeit jewel, casinos pulsing neon. Yachts bobbing in the harbor like fat cats at a trough. The air thick with perfume and privilege that masked the rot underneath. I docked with the Apex crew off a rust bucket freighter repurposed for diplomatic cargo, my cover holding as the grizzled vet with a grudge and a gun. Jenkins had vouched. Oblivious to the thumb drive I'd lifted. His loyalty to Dad, a chain I planned to snap. The invite came via encrypted Satburst, Harlan Sr.'s vessel. Berth 7. 2000.
Come alone.
Bring thirst for truth.
Truth.
The word curdled. I geared light, linen suit over the Beretta. Earpiece linked to Hale's Overwatch via a stateside bird. Shore leave granted. I melted into the jet set, dodging paparazzi tails on starlets. Palming a tourist map to scout the marina. Berth 7. Eagle's Shadow. A 120-foot fedship with helipad and panic room. Registered to a Cayman's Ghost Corp. Dad's style, flashy armor. Dusk painted the med blood orange as I boarded, deckhand waving me through with a nod. Below decks, teak paneling. Chill Dom Perignon sweating in buckets. A steward in whites who looked more bodyguard. Dad waited in the salon, sprawled in a leather armchair like a deposed king, scotch in hand. Lena at his side in a sundress that screamed forced normalcy. She rose, eyes puffy, hugging me fierce. Jack. Thank God. Easy, I murmured, patting her back while scanning. 2 goons in the galley passed through. Comms earwigs glinting. Dad didn't stand, just gestured to the bar. Pull yourself, son. We've got bridges to burn or rebuild. I fixed a Macallan. Neat. Positioning to keep the exit in peripheral. Rebuild? After the gala? You lawyered up quick. His laugh barked. Hollow. Survival.
Jack.
NCIS is circling. But it's smoke. Your evidence? Planted. Tampered. Hale's ambitious. Wants my slot. You're his pawn. Lena shifted. Uncomfortable.
Daddy. Please.
Jack wouldn't. Won't he? Dad leaned forward, eyes gleaming wet. Tell her, son, about the trust. The $500,000 I bribed you with? It was for her tuition. Your rehab after on-bar. Kept you afloat when the Navy cut you loose.
Rehab.
The '09 breakdown. Pills and therapy he'd funded to silence my questions. Afloat on blood money. Viper payoffs. Mom suspected. Mom. He slammed the glass down, ice rattling. Your sainted mother drove drunk.
Jack.
Grief over you boys in the field. I covered it for Lena's sake. Liar. The word slipped hot. Earpiece crackling. Hale's voice.
Faint.
Audio hot. Goons armed. Extract window 10 mics. Lena gasped. Hand to mouth. Jack. What? Ask him about the brake line. I pressed. Voice low thunder. Cuts I found in the garage. Or the emails to Apex. Routing funds post-crash. Dad's face cycled shock. Calculation. Fury. You hacked me? Christ.
Boy.
You're unhinged. He snapped fingers. Goons materialized. Holsters unbuttoned. Escort my son topside. Fresh air'll do him good. Lena bolted up. No. Eli. Stop this. But I was moving. Chair scraping as I palmed the Beretta. Leveling it casual at the nearest thug.
Easy. Boys.
Family chat. They froze. Hands hovering. Dad chuckled.
Dark.
Seal tricks.
Cute.
But you're on my boat. My rules. Shoot. And it's piracy. Hesitate. And my lawyers own you. Stalemate. Med lapping the hull like whispers. Lena backed to the bulkhead, tears streaming.
Why, Daddy?
If it's true. It's not. He surged up, face inches from mine, breath scotch sour. I protected you all. Viper? Bad intel. Yes, but I took the fall. Demotion risk. Saved careers. Your mom's wreck? Accident. And Ellis? He was dirty skimming. That's why he offed himself.
Twist.
My grip tightened. Hale murmuring, verify. Interpol ping on Ellis, clean. Lies. Dad. Files say you framed him. Wire to his wife post-suicide. Hush money. His eyes flickered. Guilt? Or ploy. Files you forged with Hale. Admit it. End this. I can fix it, pull strings. Get you a star of your own. The offer hung. Temptation like siren song. Admiral Harlan, legacy cleansed. Dad's shadow lifted. But Ramirez's tag burned in my pocket. Mom's letter a ghost wait. Too late. Lena stepped between. Hands out. Jack. Please. He's sick, prostate. Stage 3. The chemo starts next month. Is this worth it?
Sick.
The word punched. Dad sagged, feigning weakness, but his eyes calculating. Always. Hail. NCIS fast boat inbound. Hold. Lower the piece. Son, Dad wheedled. For her. Where Harlan's fight smart, not dirty. I hesitated, barrel dipping a fraction. Goon lunged, predictable. I sidestepped, but stroked to his knee. Crack like dry wood. Second thug drew. I fired low. Grazing thigh. Scream echoing. Chaos. Alarms whooping. Lena shrieking. Dad scrambling for a panel distress beacon? Deck erupted. NCIS boarding team rappelling from chopper. Tack lights stabbing the night. Federal agents. Hands. I dropped the Beretta. Hands up. As Hale's voice boomed from the lead. Admiral Harlan. You're under arrest for treason. Fraud. And accessory to murder. Dad twisted in cuffs.
Spitting.
You'll rot for this.
Jack.
Blood ain't thicker, it drowns. Lena collapsed against me.
Sobbing.
What now? Extraction was swift. Medevac for the goon. Me to a safe house in Nice. Hale debriefing via SecureLink. Ellis was clean, confirmed. Break line forensics pending. But Apex trails tied to your pop. Good work. But victory soured. Lena's call from a stateside relay. He's denying the cancer. Lied to me too. Coming home, I stared at the Riviera lights. Doubt gnawing. Had I avenged, or just orphaned her twice? Back stateside 2 days later. Under wraps. Press frenzy. Navy Admiral busted in Monaco shootout. Son leads raid. Dad in federal hold. Bail revoked. I holed up in a Virginia cabin Hale lent me. Woods thick. No neighbors. Burner for Lena, only. She arrived at dusk. Rental car crunching gravel. Face gaunt. He confessed partial. Viper.
Yes.
But swears mom was accident. Ellis suicide. She thrust a flash drive. His lawyer sent this. For you. Files. Audio logs. Dad's voice rasping to counsel. Jack's right on ops. But the wreck? I tampered brakes. To scare her quiet. Meant to fix. God. The blood. Murder. Admitted. I crushed the drive in my fist. Shards biting palm. Why give me this? Twist the knife? Or redemption? Lena's eyes searched mine. He's broken.
Jack.
Begging to see you. Hale's warning echoed, don't. He's flipping deal for immunity. Pinning Apex on you as accomplice. But blood. I nodded. One visit. Supervise. Leavenworth Annex. Next morning. Sterile room. Dad in orange. Cuffed to table. He looked smaller. Hollowed, chemo truth. Not lie. Son. Admiral. Formal. Armor up. He leaned.
Chains rattling.
The file's real. I killed her.
Panic.
She knew too much. Tears tracked. Forgive? For Alina? The ask hung. Controversial as a drone strike on a wedding. Forgive the monster? Or become him? Hale's earpiece-itched walk. He's bait. But I sat. Truth first. All of it. Hours spilled. Confessions tumbling. Viper for promotion. Hellman for debt payoff. Ellis framed to cover tracks. Mom's death. The deepest cut. Snapped. Wire cutters in the dark. Thought it'd stop her questions. Horror coiled. But pity flickered, man unmade by ambition. Why mock me? Gala? Deflect. New Hale was closing. Lash out. Weak smile. Petty end to a petty man. Guard tapped. Time. I rose. No forgiveness. But testimony, full. No deals. For the ghosts. He nodded.
Broken. Deal.
Outside. Lena waited. Well, over. But was it? Press split. Heroes versus vigilantes. Me the betrayer son or avenging patriot. Forums raged. Harlan Jr. Ruined a vet. Versus. Finally. Accountability. Hale pulled strings. Quiet discharge.
Consulting gig Addo and I.
But nights. The tags whispered. Revenge won the war. But the peace? Shattered like that champagne flute. Twist brewed.
Though.
A week later. Anonymous mail. Photo of mom's wreck. Time-stamped wrong. Forgery? Or dad's last flip? The photo arrived in a plain manila. No return. Postmarked Quantico. Too cute. Too close to the core. I held it to the cabin's single bulb, twisted metal on a rain-slicked beltway ramp. Mom's sedan accordioned against a guardrail. Timestamp 2247. But the mirror port said 2312. 15 minutes unaccounted. Skid marks mismatched. Forgery screamed. Photoshop seems faint, but there. Metadata scrubbed. Dad's ploy? Or a deeper player? Tying loose ends? I burned it in the sink. Ashes swirling down the drain like my certainty. Hale's take. Over-secure line. Bait. Ignore. Prelim hearings tomorrow. Your testimony seals it. But ignore sat wrong. Instinct from Fallujah alleys where shadows hid snipers. I geared up. Glock 19. Go bag refreshed. Drove the back roads to Lena's Alexandria apartment. She buzzed me in. Face drawn. Nursing chamomile that smelled like defeat. Jack. Hug brief. Brittle. Dad's lawyer called. Wants you to recant. Says it'll clear the charges. Family reunion. Recant. I paced her living room. Potomac view mocking with its calm. After the audio, he admitted murder. She deflated onto the couch. Photo album in lap, old shots. Us kids with dad in dress whites. He's dying.
Jack.
Stage 4 now. Aggressive. Begging for a last Christmas. Guilt gnaw. But I shut it down. He chose the grave. We just shovel. Her eyes flashed. First spark in weeks.
We?
You're the one who pulled the trigger at the gala. Media's tearing us apart. Dynasty of deceit. I'm losing my job at State. They think I'm complicit. Complicit. The word stung. Blame him. Not. You. She hurled the album. Photos scattering like shrapnel. You could have gone private books. Speeches. But no. Revenge porn on national TV. Now we're lepers. Silence stretched. Broken by my burner, unknown. I answered cautious. Harlan. Static hiss. Then a voice gravelly. Familiar. Jackie boy. Long time. Ramirez? No. Ghosts don't call. Jenkins. How'd you get this? Chuckle wet. Apex looks after its own. Your pop's in deep, but you're deeper. That thumb drive?
Traced. Meet.
Or Lena gets the full Viper brief. Her office. Tonight.
Click.
Trap sprung. Lena paled.
Who?
Cleanup crew. Dad stalling play, flip me to Apex. By time. I grabbed keys. Stay here. Lock down. Jack. No. Lock. Down. Door slammed. Engine roaring to life. Tail probable. I looped the GW Parkway, evading a silver Audi that mirrored too tight. Lost it in traffic. Doubled back to a storage unit in Fairfax stash house, stocked with vests, NVGs, a suppressed MP5 from Hale's black bag. Geared. I hit Lena's office building at 2100 State Annex. After hours ghost town. Security nodded me through. Old seal charm, and up to her floor. Glass walls. Policy wonks tombs. Her office. Door ajar. Desk lamp glowing.
Inside.
Jenkins lounged. .45 on the blotter. Two shadows flanking. XSF types. Tats, screaming Wagner Group alumni. Harlan. He gestured to the chair.
Sit.
We chat. I complied slow. Eyes mapping, window behind. Fire escape left. Vents overhead. Chat? Or execute? He slid the Viper brief across, declassified redacts. My forged testimony highlighted. Your pop needs this quashed. Immunity for you.
Payout.
Walk away hero.
Hero.
Laughable. Tell Eli thanks. But I prefer trials. Jenkins sighed. Theatrical. Pity. Lena's got a rep, rising star. This hits her inbox? Career DOA. Leverage. Classic. She's clean. Family? Though. He tapped the .45. Blood's a bitch. The shadows shifted signal. I exploded up. Chair to one's knee. Elbow to throat. MP5 cycled quiet. Double tap to the second's chest. Jenkins drew. I rolled. Suppressive burst splintering the desk. He fired wild. Round punching my vest, bruise bloom, and I countered. Headshot clean. Silence rang. Acrid smoke curling. I cuffed the writhing one. Zip ties from the bag. Then yanked Jenkins' phone. Text to EH. Target acquired. Extract? Dad's direct line. Hale's team swarmed 10 mics later. Silent breach. Forensics gloves. Jesus. Jack, lead agent muttered. Bagging the .45. Vigilante much? Self-defense. But the brief burned in my pocket. Plant? Hale later. Authentic. But timestamps off, Dad's hack. Framing you deeper. Twist upon twist. Hearing dawned gray. Federal courthouse, a fortress of marble and suspicion. Gallery packed. Press hounds. Vet groups picketing. Free Admiral Harlan. Versus. Justice for Viper. Me on stand. Oath taken. Voice steady as I laid it out. Ops betrayed. Mom's murder. Apex web. Dad watched from defense table. Gaunt in civvies. Eyes hollow but flicking, calculating. His counsel. Silver-haired shark. Commander Harlan. Isn't it true you suffered severe PTSD? Hallucinations. Per your 09 eval. Objection overruled. I met a head-on. PTSD doesn't forge ledgers, counselor, or break cuts. Cross-dragged, planted evidence claims. My obsession with Dad's legacy. Jury split, vets nodding. Brass stone-faced. Then redirect. Hale testified. Files projected. Wires. Audios. Mom's talk screen, no alcohol. Contrary to Dad's tale. Dad's turn. Weak. Rasping. Jack's my son. Love him. But he's twisted facts. Grief makes monsters. Tears. Jury murmurs. Controversial masterstroke. Victim playing the villain. Lena subpoenaed. I believe him. Family flaws. But not that. Knife to gut. She'd flipped? Or strategy? Recess. Hallway ambush by a Post reporter. Commander. Sources say you executed the Monaco goons in cold blood. Vigilante justice. No comment. But doubt seated. Had Jenkins drawn first? Fog of fight. Verdict hung 2 days. Me in protective hold. Cabin raided. Hale's OPSEC breach. Third night. Lena slipped in. Contraband cake in hand. Jury's leaning convict. But Dad's appeal, ironclad. Whose side? Yours. Always. Kiss on cheek. Then, but forgive? For me? The ask again. I nodded.
Hollow.
Verdict. Guilty. All counts. Sentencing. Life. No parole. Dad's glare as they led him. This ain't over. Outside. Protesters clashed fists. Signs splintering. A vet grabbed my arm. You did right.
Kid.
But at what cost?
Cost.
Lena ghosted post-verdict. Job quit. Vanished to find herself. Press crowned me. Hero or homewrecker. Hale promoted. My consult. But nights. The photo nagged. Forgery or frame. Month later. Anonymous drop USB. Labeled Truth 2.0. Files. Dad's prison logs. Bribes to guards.
Plot to shank a key witness, me.
Foiled by feds. But buried deeper. Mom's accident footage. Timestamp 2247. Dashcam from a tail car.
Dad's sedan ramming hash.
Deliberate.
No, wait.
The plate, not Dad's. Apex contractor. Per trace. Dad hadn't cut brakes, he'd outsourced. Then covered. Twist. He wasn't the apex predator. Just a cog. Who pulled his strings? I called Hale. Deeper dive. The real villain's still free. Revenge reloaded. The war never ends, it evolves. The USB's footage looped in my mind like a bad op tape. Mom's taillights flaring. The ram impact crumpling hood. Her car pinwheeling into the rail. No audio. But the intent screamed, kill shot. Professional. Plate traced to Victor Kane. Apex founder. Ex-CIA spook who'd retired to private equity with a taste for untraceable wet work. Dad's patron. Not puppet master. Kane pulled levers. Eli danced. Hale's response. Kane's untouchable, lobbies half of Congress. Philanthropy, boards everywhere. We poke. It bites back. Untouchable. Seal creed. Adapt. I went roguelite. Hale's wink nod. Off books. Deniable. First. Recon. Kane's DC Pi de Terra. Georgetown brownstone shielded by oaks and OPM vets. I tailed from a coffee shop across. Blending as a jogger in Lululemon knockoffs. Routine, dawn runs. Galas. Private jets to Davos. Slippery as an eel in oil. Burner pinged. Lena. From parts unknown. Thailand. Healing. Don't chase ghosts.
Jack.
Dad's appeal denied. Cancer's winning. Attached. Scan of his last letter. Son. Kane's the devil. I sold soul for stars. End it for me. Forgive?
E. Forgive.
The word mocked. But end it? Plan coalesced. Infiltrate Kane's orbit, catering gig at his next fundraiser. Vet network greased with a fake resume. Hired as server. Tux ill-fitting. Earpiece to a freelance hacker kid in Bethesda. Event, Kennedy Center. Black tie for wounded warrior, schmooze, irony thick. I circulated trays of caviar blinis. Eyes on Kane, silver fox. 60s. Bespoke suit hugging a frame honed by Peloton and Power. Charming the room, senators, CEOs. A smatter of us enlisted wannabes for optics. Dad's absence noted. Whispers of tragic fall. Close approach, refilling his scotch. Another. Sir? He glanced up. Eyes appraising, cold blue. Like a drone's lens. Harlan, the prodigal son. Your father's in my prayers. Prayers. I leaned in. Tray steady. Tell me, Mr. Kane, did you pray before ramming my mother's car? Or just aim? Fork drop clattered. His smile didn't crack. But security materialized subtle suits. Hands in jackets. Bold. But libels don't stick.
Boy.
Eli was a tool, useful till he broke. Confession casual. Venom laced. Viper? Your intel buy. Hellman 2. Mom? Loose end. He sipped. Unperturbed. War's expensive. Your pop covered costs. Tragic. The collateral. Nod to security. Escort out. They grabbed elbows. I twisted free. Tray to one's jaw. Glass shards flying. Chaos erupted, guests scattering. Alarms whooping. I bolted stage left. Fire exit. Into the alley where my beater waited. Tires screamed, peeling toward Rock Creek. Security SUV in pursuit. Black Escalade. Tinted menace. Hale's voice crackled. NCS rolling. Evade. I did, faint into traffic. Lost them in a delivery van swarm. Safe house by midnight. Dingy walk-up in Anacostia. Windows barred. Kid hacker. Got his phone ping, burner to a Cayman account. Wires to your pop's trust. Post-conviction. Dad paying protection? Or Kane squeezing? Sleep evaded. Ghosts crowding. Mom's scream imagined. Ramirez's last gasp. Dawn op. Kane's Jetta Dulles. Prepping for Brussels. I posed as ground crew. ID swiped from a drunk mechanic. Toolkit concealing a bug and tracker.
Planted in the low.
Synced to the kid's rig. Takeoff watched from a ridge. Blip vanishing east. Trail led to Apex HQ. Nondescript office park outside London. Glass facade hiding server farms and consultants. Visa fudged as biz travel. I rented a flat in Camden. Went deep cover, pub crawler by night. Daylight snoop. Kane landed. Motorcade to a Mayfair club, cigar haze. Power brokers. I bribed a valet for access. Lurked in shadows. Overheard. Kane to a Brit MP. Voice silk-wrapped steel. Harlan was expendable. The son's a nuisance. Handle? Nuisance. Flattering. I slipped out. Planted a second bug in his Bentley. Feeds flowed. Calls to DC fixers. Orders for Lena containment. Thailand hit?
Panic spiked.
Called her relay, voicemail.
Sis. Ghosting.
Kane's reach, extract now. No reply. Hail escalated. Joint Task Force. MI6 looped. But slow, diplomacy molasses. I went lone wolf. Staked Kane's hotel. Dorchester Suite. Night 3. He dined solo, steak tartare. Bordeaux. I tailed to the lobby. Elevator ping. Inside. Mirrored box. Him alone. I slipped in last second. Door ceiling. Evening. Victor. He spun. Composed. Persistent. Security. Called off via my jam. EMP pulse from the toolkit.
Phone's dead.
We're chatting. Pistol appeared.
Suppressed.
Charming. But you're outgunned. Not about guns. I circled. Voice low. Mom's footage, your plate.
Dad confessed on tape.
Ends now. His laugh chilled. Ends?
Boy.
I own ends. Viper saved budgets, your team collateral. Like your mother. Eli begged the hit. Debts piled. I obliged.
Begged.
Dad outsourced murder? Liar. Am I? He texted Air, deadline. Check your sister's inbox.
Gift.
Burner chirped. Video from Lena's phone. Her. Bound in a Bangkok shack.
Gagged.
Eyes wild. Jack, help. Leverage again. Drop the probe. Or she swims with the koi.
Koi. Tie twist.
Rage blinded. I lunged.
Pistol whipping.
He parried. Shot grazing my arm. Fire bloom. We grappled. Mirrors shattering. Elevator dinging emergency. Doors pried by security. I fired blind. Escaped into the night. Blood trailing. MI6 scooped me. Hale's pull. Medevaced to a black site. Arm stitched. Lena's feed traced. Fake. Green screen per forensics. Kane's ploy. Buying flight time. But the confession burned. Dad begged the hit. Letters plea. End it, twisted. Accomplice. Not victim? Exfil to states. Quarantine cabin upgraded. Press. Harlan Air and London shooting. International incident? Forum split wilder. Patriot versus. Psycho. Lena surfaced. Hoax vid, Kane's hackers. I'm safe. But scared. Come to me? Flight booked. But doubt-rooted. Dad's appeal hearing loomed. New evidence. My testimony needed. Revenge forked. Kane or closure. I chose both. In flight. Drafted the kill shot. Leak Kane's calls to WikiLeaks proxy. Time to the hearing. Chaos incoming. But as wheels touched BWI. Burner, Kane. Your move. Harlan. But family's the real cost.
Cost.
Always. The appeal hearing convened in a basement bunker of the federal courts, low ceilings. Fluorescent buzz. The kind of room where hope goes to die under oath. Dad looked spectral, chemo-ravaged, orange jumpsuit hanging like a shroud, oxygen mask fogging with each shallow breath. Gallery sparse. Lena beside me. Hand cold in mine. A pair of reporters scribbling like vultures. Kane's absence noted, his lawyer circled. Motions to suppress the London audio I'd anonymously dropped days prior. Judge, a grizzled Article 3 vet with a southern drawl, banged gavel. Proceeding on Harlan v. United States. Motion to introduce new exculpatory evidence. Dad's counsel rose. Slick as ever. Yes. Your Honor. Sworn affidavit from defendant. plus corroborating docs. Claims coercion by third party, Victor Kane, Apex Global. Mr. Harlan alleges entrapment, duress in all actions. Entrapment. The flip supreme. Lena squeezed, whispering, "He called me yesterday." Swears it's true, Kane owned him.
Owned.
I nodded, but gut screamed script. My turn on stand, sworn in, facing Dad's eyes, pleading, broken. Commander Harlan, did your father act alone in the Viper betrayal?
No.
Voice steady. But he initiated. Sold cords for $250,000 wire. Per ledgers. Counsel pounced. Ledgers procured how? Illegally. Via your London escapade. Objection relevance. Sustained, but damage ceded. Vigilante taint. Dad testified last. Mask off. Voice a wheeze. Kane recruited me 03, intel swaps for funding. Viper? He demanded the hit to test loyalty. I refused. Then he threatened Sarah. The accident was his wet team. I covered to protect my kids. Gasps rippled. Lena teared up, I stonewalled. And Hellman? Ellis. Kane's frame. I took the star to infiltrate. Feed feds. But he flipped me blackmail. Tapes of the cover-up. Cough, racked him. Mask back on. Jack. Son, believe. The Galamock? Desperation. To goad you into exposing him. Twist cyclone. Jury, panel, huddled. Faces split. Sympathy for dying vet. Skepticism for deathbed confab. Recess dragged. Lena pulled me to hall. It's true.
Jack.
He sent files, Kane's threats. Dated pre-crash. Files I'd leaked? Or plant? Why not earlier?
Fear.
For us. She thrust a thumb drive.
Read.
Then decide. Panel reconvened. Appeal granted. Retrial ordered. Kane as co-conspirator. Dad remanded. But lighter. House arrest pending. Press exploded. Harlan Sr. Victim? Son's revenge backfires? I hold in the cabin. Drive decrypting. Emails. Dad to Kane no more. Family off limits. Reply. Then Viper proceeds. Sarah pays. Timestamp. Crash Eve. Vindication? Or deepfake? Hale's lab. Authentic. But chain incomplete. Kane's server scrubbed. Rogue again. I hit the road. Beater to Apex's Virginia compound. Fence sprawl. Hello's thumping pads. Posed as delivery. Clipboard bluff past gate. Inside. Cubicles of analysts. Server room humming. Hack kid remote. In dumping now. Files flooded. Kane's empire. Arms to cartels. Intel to adversaries. Harlan as frontman. Mom's hit. Invoice. $50,000. Contractor ID matching the plate. Jackpot. But alarms wailed. Trace tripped. Goons swarmed. I bolted. Flashbang tossed. Corridor smoke. Outside. Fence breach. Wood sprint. Gunfire stitched trees. I returned fire. Dropping one. Winging another. Clear by exfil van. Hale's Black Ops. Screeching up. Enough.
Jack.
Feds moving on Kane. Too late. My shot. Leaked dump to intercept. Timed for dawn. World woke to apex treason. Navy Admiral's secret war. Kane vanished. Jet to Seychelles.
Philippines.
Dad released to hospice. Lena at bedside. I visited. Air thick with morphine and regret. Sun. Hand frail. Kane's endgame you. Tapes of your '09 rage. Twisted to look complicit. Complicit. The circle closed. Why tell now? Truth.
Gasp.
Forgive. The mocks. The lies. Loved you. Wrong way. Controversial absolution. I gripped his hand. Water under. Ghosts rest. He passed midnight. Monitors flatlining. Lena wept. I stood vigil. Tags heavy. Funeral, Arlington. Honors crisp. Bagpipers wail. Rifles salute. Vets divided. Some spat. Others clasped shoulders. Press. Redemption or reckoning. Kane surfaced weeks later. Suicide. Seychelles Villa. Single shot to temple. Note. Debts paid. Harlan free. Faked? Interpol called it clean. But hail. Our bullet. Deniable. Justice? Or cycle? Lena relocated Philly prof gig. Fresh start. Me, ONI desk. But nights patrolled shadows. Hunting echoes. Twist final, mom's locket. Found in dad's effects inside. Photo of us three. Inscription, for my Avengers. She'd known. Planned her own quiet war. Letters to feds.
Börja till now.
Debate eternal. Heroes all. Or villains in uniform. America. Land of the free and the damned. But in the quiet, I raised a glass to the ghosts. Semper Fi. Months blurred post-funeral. Deceased autumn leaves turning blood red like warnings ignored. Lena thrived in Philly, tenure track. Blind dates whispered about in our weekly calls, but I stagnated. ONI's fluorescent cage grinding my edges dull. Report stacked. Apex remnants scattering like roaches. Kane's suicide, spawning congressional probes that went nowhere fast. Hale climbed to full Admiral. Our chats now laced with brass polish. Jack. Write the book. Hero's tale keeps the demons at bay. Demons. They bayed nightly. Dad's wheeze echoing mom's imagined scream. Ramirez's tag a noose around my neck. The locket's photo mocked from my dresser, family portrait. Cracks spiderwebbing the glass. Avengers? We'd avenged nothing but our own fractures. Catalyst came mid-November. Burner resurrection. Unknown prefix. Harlan? Victor Kane.
Dead man.
Voice digitized. But cadence unmistakable, silk over steel. Not suicide. Relocated. Business as usual. Chill spidered. Where? Laugh if you like. But your leaks?
Costly.
Lena's new beau. Philly PD? Traffic stop tomorrow. Unfortunate accident. Threat veiled. But clear. I geared without thought. Suppress sig. Vest. Go bag eternal. Drove north. I-95 of vein pulsing semis. Philly by dusk. Stakeout on Lena's block, row homes brick solid. Her bay window glowing warm. She emerged, 2000, arm in arm with Mark, cop build. Easy laugh, heading to a corner Italian. I shadowed. 2 blocks back. Kane's ghost gnawing. At the light. Cruiser idled, marks unmarked. They kissed curbside, he peeled out. Tail acquired, nondescript sedan. Tinted. Hanging back. Apex echo. Interception on 676 ramp. I cut in. Bumper tap forcing the sedan to swerve. Alley ditch. Philly grit crunching tires. Driver. Merc face.
Tats peeking.
He bailed shooting. I returned. Leg hit dropping him. Cuffed to wheel. Phone yielded. Text from VK. Harlan girl. Loose end. Hale looped by red line. Kane's alive. Plastic surgery. New ID in Panama. Feds can't touch. Diplomatic immunity scam. Immunity. Rage pure. Then I will. Deniable nod. Flight to Panama City booked under alias. Humid hellhole greeting with diesel fumes and distrust. Kane traced to a Casco Viejo villa, colonial charm. Guards patrolling Bougainvillea walls. Recon 3 days. Patterns mapped. Weak point the maid service entry. Night 4. Breach at 0200. Silence steps over tile. Guards down non-lethal chokeholds. Zip ties. Upstairs. Master suite. Kane in silk pajamas. Scotch nursing. Staring at a wall safe. Knew you'd come.
Harlan.
Pistol rose casual. I leveled mine. Endgame. He smiled. Unblinking. Is it? Your father's tapes, 09. You ranting about ending the liars. Sounds like intent. I could play them. Frame you for Ellis. Twist venom. You framed him. Guilty. But so are you, Viper cover. The trust take. We're same.
Boy.
Ambitious ghosts.
Same.
The mirror cracked. Lena's call interrupted. Burner chirp. Jack. Mark's in surgery. Hit run. They think accident. But. Kane chuckled. Collateral. Like Sarah. Trigger finger itched. Why? Balance. Empires fall on principles. He opened the safe.
Tossing a dossier.
Your real inheritance. Kane Harlan merger docs. Dad signed pre-crash. You were to succeed me. Succession. Legacy poison. I flipped pages. My name. Forged SIGs. Viper profits earmarked for JH. Ops fund. Betrayal infinite. He sold me too. Family business. Kane raised glass. Join or die heroes. Debate thundered. Shoot the devil. Become him or walk. Let law limp. Sirens distant. Hale's Panamanian strings pulling. Lena's voice echoed, healing. I lowered the sig. Neither. Empire ends. Holstered. Backed out. Guard stirred. I ghosted. Villa alarms belated. Exfil boat to Costa Rica. Hale's jet waiting. Dossier leaked. Final nail. Congressional hammer dropping indictments extraditable. Kane captured Dawn raid. No shot fired. Trial. Spectacle. 2026 spring. I testified neutral. Facts. No flourish. Verdict. Guilty. Life in Supermax. His last words to me. In holding. You chose wrong. Harlan. Blood always calls.
Did it?
Philly spring. Lena's wedding. Mark recovered. Ring exchanged in a Quaker quiet. I stood best man. Suit stiff. Tags tucked away. Vows exchanged. In sickness. Health, truth above all. Reception toast. To family not perfect. But ours. Glasses clinked. Laughter real. But epilogue shadowed. Anonymous wire to my account. $500K. Viper echo. Note. Dad's last. Use well.
Forgive. El.
Lena's hand. Bridge mended. America's rhythm pulsed on. Controversial. Tense. I walked into sunset. Not hero. Not villain. Just survivor. Ghosts quieter now. Yet in quiet, the Admiral's mic grab echoed, "Truth's the real revenge." And it never ends. Fade to black. Debate rages. Right or ruin? You decide.